And what the fatal funnel is the geographic formation that two highways form. These highways, US 77 South and US 59 South, stretch from Victoria to Mexico in two different spots. And we're documenting the border issues, the drug smuggling, human smuggling, and death toll within this funnel.
I went down to Laredo with Rusty Fleming, who was the filmmaker. Sobering. It's almost an overstatement, but not quite, that anybody who sees this film will not leave the theater the same person that they were when they walked in.
There is a weapon of mass destruction, and it's mass destroying every single day.
In this case, they're using narcotics as their motivation. So you have the narco-terrorists.
These drugs have been flowing through this border for the last 40, 50 years.
Rusty Fleming, documentary filmmaker and author of the book Narco Warfare in the 21st Century. We're here tonight premiering our film, Drug Wars, Silver or Lead. The major part of the impact that we're starting to see has to deal with directly with how these Mexican drug cartels are beginning to bring their same business model that they've been using in Mexico into the United States, particularly as it relates to the retail sales of narcotics here in the U.S.
As law enforcement tightened their grip on South Florida, the Colombian cartels were forced to outsource their distribution to trusted crime families in Mexico. With the death of Pablo Escobar in 1993 and the fall of the Colombian cartels, the Mexican crime families began taking over virtually all smuggling operations going into the United States.
Okay, I'm Siki Gonzalez. I'm the sheriff in Zapata County, Texas, and I've been sheriff in Zapata County for 14 years now, a little over 14 years. I'll start a new term in January. What we do is enforcement of 997 square miles with 60 miles of river with the Republic of Mexico, and we enforce all types of civil and criminal law. There's been times when we have received reports that people have been kidnapped in our communities, or people are being taken back to Mexico. And not only, and I speak for the whole border area, being the chairman of the Southwestern Border Sheriff's Coalition, where we have people shooting at our officers from the Mexican side with machine guns when we go out there to the riverbanks to investigate an incident that may have happened.
Perhaps we could think about regulating it and taxing it for adults. What's your thought?
On narcotics?
Yes, sir.
That's something that must be debated also. I think there's a lot of pros and cons and everything. My personal opinion is it should be looked at before making any type of decision.
Since the late 90s, the Mexican drug cartels have seized an overwhelming majority control of the North American drug trade, ever tightening their stronghold all across the U.S.-Mexican border.
Marvin West, I'm the sheriff of Hudspeth County, which is out in West Texas. Primarily what we do is do our best to try to secure the border.
Now, we're here in Victoria attending the premiere of a movie, Drug Wars, Silver or Lead. Tell us about your understanding of what that means, the silver or the lead.
Well, the silver and lead is either you if you want the money, you're going to join forces with these guys. Or if you don't, you're going to get the lead, and lead being they're going to kill you. My part of the movie, back in January of 2006, we had the military incursion, where the Mexican military was assisting the drug runners with the narco traffickers with the drugs coming across. We're the ones that took the photographs of them and had to stay at a great distance from them because of the firepower that these guys have got matched up to ours. I mean, you've heard the phrase, our firepower is like water guns compared to theirs. And that's very true. The deal about the movie that they're going to watch tonight or show tonight is hitting the nail right on the head. What you see in the movie is what took place in Nuevo Laredo a couple of years back. What's happening today, what you see in the movie is exactly what's happening today in Juarez, which is right across from El Paso, Texas, just down the road from us. As far as the legalization of this, I think it needs to be looked at. I really do. I think that you got to weigh the both pros and cons of this. But I also think that this needs to be left to the American public and not our congressmen, not Washington, D.C., nor our Texas legislature for that matter. This is something that needs to be done collectively by the American people who make a wise decision on this and look at both sides of this.
Border towns like Tijuana, Juarez, and Nuevo Laredo, already hubs for legitimate commerce, are prize ports for smuggling billions of dollars in narcotics.
My name is Fred Burton. I'm the Vice President of Counterterrorism for Stratfor, Strategic Forecasting in Austin, Texas. Well, I've worked for Republicans and Democrats, and I've spent a lot of time in Washington, and I've yet to see one administration take a lead role and want to do something about our border security. And to me, that's where the ball has been dropped. Not only is the spillover crime and violence an issue, meaning the cross-border abductions, the street crime, but the impact to the youth of our country from the cartels, and there's no end in sight, meaning it's like a water balloon in Mexico. As the Calderon administration presses and surges in one side of the country in Mexico, you see the cartel drug runners moving to the other side. And so we at Stratfor see a couple of troubling trends. One, you have the trend of the increase and uptick in violence coming from Mexico into the continental United States. Two, we see the flight of cartel high-value targets, cartel bosses south into Guatemala and so forth. So in essence, this is a problem that's going to take the national security assets to try to deal with. And what I mean by that is we need the entire intelligence community focused on this problem. And we also have a tremendous corruption problem on both sides of the border, which a lot of people don't like to talk about, but we need to talk about it as a nation. It's very easy for us to throw rocks at our own glass house and push all this problem onto the Mexican government, but in essence it's going to take a solution from a foreign policy perspective between both nations to try to deal with this issue. The farther you get away from Texas, the less people realize the impact this is to them. What most Americans fail to recognize is that the hand-in-glove interface between the violent criminal enterprise cartel bosses in Mexico and the street crime in America is hand-in-glove, meaning the reasons we have homicides on the streets of New York City and Chicago and Detroit and Seattle and Houston and Dallas is because of the cartels and the control over geography of the cities for the very lucrative drug distribution network. Therefore, we really need a national solution to this problem.
Like empires, drug cartels rise and fall, giving way to successor regimes with newer and more efficient ways to operate.
Well, I think definitely we're going to have to readjust the way we're prosecuting the war on drugs. And, you know, I think we can clearly see what doesn't work. We haven't made a lot of progress in most areas as it relates to stopping or even slowing down the flow of illicit narcotics into the United States. We've really just redirected it. We've empowered a group of people predominantly based in Latin America and Mexico, and this has allowed them to grow to a point of where they can now take over entire regions at their whim. And this is why you're seeing them war with the government and with each other for these territories.
With billions of dollars at stake, a new era of narco warfare has begun.
And I can only say this to anybody who thinks, well, you know, Mexico, that's far away, I don't have to worry about it. It's a phrase out of Tolstoy. Kind of difficult, you would think, to link Tolstoy to the drug wars. Tolstoy said, "You may not be interested in war, but war is interested in you."
I hope it's enough to make people angry, get together, and do something about it before it's too late.
You, sir, first?
I thought it was excellent.
Excellent.
Good message. What we're going to do about it, nobody knows.
And you, man?
Well, it was extremely informative and very scary. I hope they can do something about it.
All right. Thank y'all very much.